Hey everyone! Hello. Welcome to the Gamasutra Twitch channel. My name is Brian Francis. Guess what? You can see my face today. That's very unusual. I'm joined today. I'm down here in the lower left-hand corner, kind of doing a weird little thing here. We are here today playing Elex. Somewhere in this lower left-hand corner, if Alex can make sure the screen is showing him, is Björn Pankratz. I think I completely said his name wrong there, but I will let Bjorn introduce himself. Bjorn, who are you and why are you here?
Yeah, my name is Björn Pankratz. I'm a project director in charge of Elex and many more jobs I have there, yeah.
Awesome. Looks like your camera is coming up when you speak, which is good. Bjorn, what is Elex and why? When did it come out? It just came out a couple days ago, right?
Yeah, it was
weeks.
Yeah, some weeks, 3 weeks ago. It's a third-person role-playing game, and we have a special setting here. It's science fantasy, we call it, and it's a more big continent. You can travel here. It's a role-playing game, classical one, I would say, and that's it.
Why? This is really interesting. I think you're with Piranha Bytes, a developer which is in partnership with Deep Silver, put out the Gothic and Risen games. Why did you go for a new setting with this game? In order to you sort of use these like classic RPG tropes to explore a really new, interesting setting. Can you sort of explain that decision?
Yeah. It was time for something completely new because we have made fantasy games, and so we thought it would be time for a change the setting, for minimum. And the gameplay is very similar to our previous titles, I think, with some adjustments and improvements and stuff, But the setting is completely different, and it's science fantasy. We thought fantasy is still a great part of our game, but because we love fantasy, but it's more other things we add there. For example, a post-apocalyptic world it is, and so we have some Mad Max guys there. We call them the Outlaws, and the working title for this game was Evolution, and the vision was that we have some steps up in the evolution of mankind. So we have the medieval guys, we have the post-apocalyptic guys, and so we additional to that we have the sci-fi guys. We call them the clerics, and that was the vision of that, with plenty of weapons and stuff like that, with our own way of doing games like this.
Cool. I'm going to my next, I guess, Alex. I'm actually gonna talk to you real quick. What is this? You and I play a lot of RPGs. We are sort of the RPG nerds of Gamasutra. How has your experience with this game been? I understand you're dying a lot. Like, how do you feel this compares to some of the other games you've tried out?
I'll try to keep a little quiet this stream because I'm getting over a cough. But it's true. I've put about 4 or 5 hours into Elex here, and I found it very challenging. It is. I had to dial the difficulty down to easy because I kept dying in the outside world. And once I have a chance, I'm going to go ahead and take us on a very cautious tour here to look at some of the systems. I have found this to be very difficult as games go, and so. Bjorn, I'd be curious to know if that lines up with your goals for the game's design, and if so, why do you think it's important to make a very challenging and hardcore RPG?
Because we have a very open world. That means that you can reach every point of the world at the start of the game. That means you have opponents who are much too strong for you, and we mark them with a skull there, and in his hit point thing there. And so you have to find a way to survive here. It's about to use all the features we offer you, and without this you wouldn't do that. We have to make a more linear game, and that is not the way we think. Our philosophy is to give you the freedom in the game, as much as possible, and so you can dare there to go everywhere where you want, but it's maybe not your time. Yeah, but you can try. And when you reach the points and you kill really then this monster, and so yeah, then it's allowed to do so. But it's difficult. That's the vision.
Yeah, and this is a well-worn trope at this point, but it does evoke shadows of my experience playing a game like Dark Souls, where there is a sort of a vast, confusing, but very inviting and curious world to explore, and often I have to run away or die. And I get a lot of joy out of cheating, like not like, but like kind of skirting around enemy encounters or tricking them into running somewhere and then sneaking away. And there's a lot of satisfying moments to be had in sort of circumventing your way around those challenges.
Yeah. Bjorn, I'm kind of curious. So going from fantasy to science fiction, your Piranha Bytes had a lot of systems and technology that helped you all make a series of fantasy games very well. When you began moving to a science fiction realm, which even if this world is, like you said, science fantasy, like everyone here kind of looks like they're at a Ren Fair cosplay. I think you have Ren Fairs in Germany. Alex has his jetpack, which he just used to kill himself.
I tried to get around that challenge, and I did not succeed.
I guess my question to you is, how, from a developer perspective, did you and your team have to change your workflow to make a science fiction themed experience work with your fantasy background?
It was not so difficult to change this because we have already had ranged weapons in your previous titles, like using a bow or magic spells or something like that. That was not so difficult to put in all these ranged weapons or stuff like more like so called laser stuff and swords and so. The cool thing was that the team had much fun to do all these science fiction stuff, because they were not allowed to do things like that, not to put in containers or broken cars into the world or something like that. And that was amazing for us, to do all these things. A completely new experience of developing a game so far. And that was great. That was great.
Nice. Yeah. Was there anything unexpected, was there anything particularly unexpected that didn't translate? What was sort of the new thing you had to learn in making this game?
Yeah, the most challenging thing was the bigness of this world. Yeah, it's a really huge world, and 2 years of developing, we thought about, oh God, what have I done? We have done with this big, but with the jetpack and with all the mechanics we implemented there, we saw that it works. Yeah, that the setting is very nice for us, and it worked really that way we planned it. And,
we're going to I want to get to the questions in the chat in just a minute, but I want to ask if another developer, I think open world is in a really interesting place right now, because between Elex, between Zelda, between some other games that have been experimenting with how players traverse their settings, it's an exciting time right now. Like there's lots of, I think developers are getting more and more comfortable letting players fling themselves about the environment willy-nilly. Is there anything you would say to other developers who want to work in a world as big as Elex about, and what advice would you give them about helping players move through that world?
I didn't get the point. Do you mean advices for
what advice,
other developers? Okay.
Yeah. What would you say to other developers who want to make a world as big as yours?
Yeah,
besides don't do it.
Yeah, besides don't do it. Our world is very special because every NPC you can talk to could be the first one you meet. That means that the storyline is very, very complex. And that's a very, very special mechanic we implemented there. We have the most interconnected quest system to date, we think. and so that's very difficult. But other things, it's a question of pacing. Yeah? You have you see a cutscene at the game start, and so you can move and you can collect, and there behind the corner there's a ruin. You can go in there, you can collect, you can talk to someone again. Oh, you saw a cut, and so and the most important thing is, in my opinion, that you can't, you must not bore your customer, because it has to change every corner the gameplay you go there in the world. It must not be boring. That's the important thing. How big should be the world and so on. It depends on the gameplay you want to implement. It depends on how many features you have in the game. It depends on how many opponents you have. How many different opponents you have, and so on. It's a matter of pacing. Every 5 minutes or so, it has to change the thing you do. We have a big city. We have a big city, and when you go in there, you can talk to them 2 hours or so. That's that may be too much, but we always try to send the player out of the villages. To make his adventure and something like that, and you are able to go anywhere you want, and that's very, very difficult to do, but it pays off in the end, because it's fun.
Cool. I'm going to go to the chat. First off, I think you all addressed this on Twitter. Electrochemy_GK would like to know, is there any planned for a patch that will address the game's bugs? Which I'm going to springboard off of. How has your experience? And they also want to know if there's any plans to include a character sheet that shows the numerical values behind your character. I'll let you answer his question, and then I'll get to my question. I'm bouncing off that.
Yes, we already have launched 2 patches. They're one patch, and we call it second week patch, and another patch is on the way. To fix all the things. But we read something like there were many bugs in balancing and stuff like that. No, that's no bugs. It's the way you have to play this game. It's the thing of a philosophy that you are able to go everywhere where you want, and we're not filling up the world with spawning monsters. We are fitting to matching your level or something like that. That's not the way we think that our games have to be played, and that's no bug or something like that. To repeat the he was also asking if there are plans to add a character sheet, a place where you could view what your character's stats are, how much mana they have, how much armor they have, like like sort of your classic RPG character sheet. Is that in the cards, and if not, why not? There are some values we didn't show, for example, the experience points and something like that. We consider that at the moment, and we will be, with the next patch, maybe more transparent there, and give you more values, amounts of skills or something like that. When it makes sense.
Cool. Azpet would like to know. We already talked about the game's post-apocalyptic setting. We talked about the science fantasy nature. What Azpet says is a lot of open-world post-apocalyptic games look depressing and ruined, but here everything looks very open and inviting. How did the art team come to that point in their design?
It's we have a day-night cycle, and we also have a darker periods here in this game, especially in the night or something, and then when you play this, it's very dark in there. Many games have only one time you play it, and we think it has to work all the time, all day. And it could be some darker there because it's a dangerous world. It would fit, but
I actually need to apologize. That was poor phrasing on my part. By dark, I meant depressing. I accidentally used the wrong word there. So usually these games look more depressing, but he says your game looks more inviting, so he's curious about the art style and how it was like how this version of the game was decided upon and how it would look.
Yeah, it was one part of our decision to make it inviting, because we want to show you some kind of European forest in the start of the game and something like that. And when you get in the other parts of this game, other lands, then it gets darker, yeah. Because when you reach Ignadon or something like that, there are lava caves and something like that, and But the beginning should be inviting. We thought there. Maybe our next game will be different, but this time we thought it was a good idea.
I'm curious because I'm an ignorant American. What is inviting about a European forest? I'm just like, no, I actually think I think that's really interesting. I love forests in general. I love America. I mean, I love the forests. I've spent time in America. This is going down a very silly path, but what about the European forest landscape do you think makes players want to explore more?
I think it's not so different to your landscapes like Canada or something like that. That was just a phrase for me. Yeah, I don't think it's so big different. Yes, we have a post-apocalyptic world, and the berserkers, live in a country, where the nature took back all the civilization and so on. That was the vision behind this. That we said it's already green everywhere and something like that, and we did it. We are the berserkers. We believe in nature and to give back the people the trees and something like that. And that was the thinking about that. No.
That's cool. Just a heads up the chat. I'm going to jump back into my questions for a moment, but we will be grabbing. Feel free to keep asking them. I will pull some more from the chat. Bjorn, this game Alex hasn't gotten a chance to sort of explore it yet, I think, or he can't show it to us on screen. He is showing us a very nice forest.
That's right.
Which I do like this forest.
Yay!
Maybe he's going to die again from first fall. So part of Elex's RPG draw is this very complex faction system where you meet factions, you gain favor with them, but actions you take is as simple as I was reading the reviews, like if for factions who abhor technology, if you're checking your map, you'll lose points with them. If one faction sends you out and you kill people from another faction, that obviously affects your standing with them. What was the drive behind that faction system, and how do you make that system work? How do you make it functional and not just sort of a useless bit of numbers that go up and down?
It's very difficult to explain. It's an easy question, but the answer should be more complex, I think. Yeah.
Hey, take all the time you want to explain.
The important thing is that when you compare these factions, there have to be a big contrast. There has to be very different. And their clerics, for example, they believe in a god. They're called Kalan. They are the sci-fi guys who use plasma rifles and something like that. The guys in the deserts are the bandits, the outlaws. They have the they collect all the stuff from the ruins from the older world, and so before the meteor strikes came down and stuff like that. And on the other hand, the berserkers are nature guys who believe in medieval armors and tools and simple tools and swords and something like that. That's the biggest differences such factions can have, we think. To make them work, it's not so easy, because there are many smaller missions and quests you can do, which are very local, of a very local kind, because they are enjoying each other's company or not, and so my neighbor is my biggest fiend or something like that. So stories we tell there, but there are more political stories we tell there, because the leader of the of the factions have their own opinion about that, what is about the other factions and something like that, and so you get your missions, your big missions, your smaller ones, and
Is that a hippo? Is that like a?
Oh my god! What is?
Yeah.
That's like a human raptor.
Yeah.
Human raptor. That's some mutants. Yeah, Elex mutants.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We actually have some great faction-related questions coming out of chat. So while Alex recovers from his surprise.
Well, can I slip one question in while I'm not trying to die real quick? Is that cool?
Go for it.
Something that's been on my mind, Bjorn, and I think you sort of talked a bit about it already. Piranha Bytes games have a reputation, right? They have a reputation for being what you might call hidden gems or sort of cult classics. The idea that like they have a small but devoted fan base, and they have typically, when I look at critical consensus around your work, I typically see a lot of like concerns about bugginess and stuff, but also a lot of praise for the creativity and the inventiveness and the scope of the worlds. I kind of wanted to get your read on that. Do you feel that's accurate? And if so, what is it you think that uniquely enables Piranha Bytes to make these sorts of games?
I don't think we have so many bugs as they told that we have. Yeah,
this has been good so far.
We don't have so many bugs. That's a fairy tale. But okay. In our past, we had other times, but now I think it's okay. Why do we? The question is why we following our philosophy to making games as we are with such a small team, or what exactly is the question?
That is a fantastic drill down into what I was getting at, which is like, what is it about Piranha Bytes that makes the studio capable of making these sort of expansive, rollicking, open world games? Such a small team.
Yeah, there were many guys who said, "Here, take my money and make a bigger company." And so, really. But
I believe it.
We didn't want that because when we become bigger, the responsibilities would change and so on, and we haven't control about gameplay and things like that, and so we know that we have many fans out there, and they expect something from us, exactly that what we do, especially here in Elex, and that's our philosophy. We follow now about 20 years or something, and in Germany it's not so easy to hold your position as a small developer company here.
Okay.
And many companies aren't anymore, and we're still there, and therefore there are reasons about that we still exist, and so when you get bigger, you have to make more business stuff and controlling and meetings and stuff like that, and many hours of how could I say
busy work for work's sake.
I don't find the word, but it's there are too many minds who follows different visions of how a game should be. Many Germans try to get successful in America, and they believe that Americans are like they want to have a very easy game, and when you only hit the button, then you have to you're great, and you have to serve the player. But I don't think so, because games like as you said, Dark Souls or stuff, are very successful in America, and that's not the typical American who wants to have an easy game or something, and that's in the end, is many things are a matter of money you spend for that, and cutscenes quality or quality of certain animations or graphics or stuff like that. But what we want to do is to tell a deep story and an interesting thing, and a very cool pacing game, what sucks you into the world with immersion and something like that. And when we want to explain our formula or our philosophy, we have to use more than 2 sentences to explain that, and that was always our problem to sell what is about our games and our philosophy and something. Yeah.
That was actually a wonderful answer to that question. I think. I think there's a lot of discussion about business management in games right now because as the industry changes, so too are the sizes of the companies that it takes to make certain kinds of products. So, Piranha Bytes' commitment to staying small seems to be a move that wisely works with its philosophy of making games based on what you said. I'm going to dive back into the game design questions here while Alex runs for his life.
This is fine. Everything's fine.
Which I actually appreciate more now. I appreciate Alex's run for his life in this strange landscape based on what you just said about making games difficult, because now I see running as more of the mechanic that's at play here than the hitting, if you get my drift. Indoctrinate 1 says that all the factions in this game have really big, I guess, character flaws, like moral flaws. Was that a conscious design choice to make all the factions in some way morally compromised?
What is flaws? What is that?
So, like I think he says like they all have some moral failing, like they all they're about some Indoctrinate 1, feel free to get more specific, but I think he's referring to the idea that like this faction believes in something, but some part of their belief could be considered evil or mistaken. Oh my god, Alex.
I just killed one of the important NPCs and now I'm definitely in trouble.
It's very important for us not to look only on the weaponry they have, or armors they have, or abilities or skills they have.
Yeah.
It's very important for us to touch the player there, where you they have to invite themselves, to say what their intentions are, and their needs and their beliefs and something like that. And we are no game where you can adjust and select your character class in the beginning of the game, because you have to know them, you have to go to them and to learn about their intentions and something like that. And we think that's a very special, cool experience in a game to make them to your friends, become your friends, or even not, your foes or something. And that we think it's interesting gameplay and storytelling.
That is I think that that's actually that is a answer. That is a different answer than what I was expecting, but I like that. I think that's actually a fascinating. That's a fascinating. No, well, let's like Bethesda. Bethesda asks you at the start of every Bethesda game, what species are you? What essentially they give you an open-ended choice to kind of pursue. Like they give you a lot of tools right away to say what kind of class you want to be. But I think that's a really interesting way of looking at it. Of saying, oh god. Alex's deaths in this game.
Yo, it's rough out here.
I think that's a really interesting way of sort of going in knowing that the player can't know who these people are until they've actually played the game.
Right. That's right.
Lunoland would like to know what their question is. In open world games, it takes a long time for core gameplay to sort of appear during development. Did you have a top-down design that you were chasing? Like, did you sort of know what you wanted going in? Or was the design process more exploratory? When did you realize you had something that was fun to play?
We did know that we have something that is funny to play when we finished Gothic 1.
Yeah.
And so we had the luck, and we were very lucky to hit some nerve of the players that days, and we made a memorial moment for many players and something like that. We're very lucky to do so, and so there we made some special thing to make believable worlds. We call it simulated game world. That's our unique feature, because there are not only hubs where you can talk and hubs where you can only fight or something like that. It's all one big game world, and we introduce everyone standing there. They are touchable. You can kill them. You can fight them or something like that, or you can talk to them, and that's a very special way to tell stories in games. There are many things, games who think different. They tell many stories and twists and turns in cutscenes or something like that. But we think that many things and many stories and random events or something only come when you make it open, when you make it reachable, touchable. And that's a different kind of gameplay we saved until today. And that's it.
To try and to help Lunoland out, I think they were talking specifically about Elex, like the design process of Elex. I think what they were asking was, did you know going in how you would want the combat and interactions to feel in Elex? Or did you discover that as you were developing that there was, did Elex become fun as you were developing it? Or did you take what you knew on Gothic and said, we're going to make this in an open world setting?
Yeah, partially. Okay, we planned many things and we make a vision of the game, and we said, okay, that's 100% of it, what we planned. And so in the end, we find ourselves that we have 95% fulfilled of that, and 5% we said, okay, that's ridiculous that we don't make it, And there was the plan was to make it very a combat system with the mixture of you get your points, and you have to have dexterity with your thumbsticks and something like that, or your mouse and so on, and a mixture of that. And so we yes, of course, we have some focus group tests and something like that to prove our concept. And so we found, okay, is there some mojo? Does it make fun and something like that? That's always the case when you make computer games. You don't know at the beginning of the development if it makes fun in the end. Don't know, but. What we guess what was that the Jetpack, for example, would be a great fun factor in the world, because what would be the greatest thing in a post-apocalyptic world where all is broken, no cars are driving and all the streets and roads are broken and something like that? Yes, what kind of transport thing? It has to fly. Has to be you have to jetpack through the world. That would be the greatest thing. And in our previous title, we were almost there. That we can say, okay, every NPC could be the first one you can meet. There are no barriers or something like that, and or hidden things or so. Except smaller things like the end game or something. Of course, but the rest of the world is open, and you can reach every point you can see. You can go there, and while we're developing all these things, we found ourselves that we are not working about that. We were always playing with a jetpack and flying here and flying there. Oh, cool! Look over there and something like that. And so you got the feeling of we're on the right way to do this this thing happen. And it's a mixture of it.
Roman Lux is saying they like how monsters fight between themselves, and I like how Alex is pitting them against each other and profiting off the results.
Yeah, can I jump in real quick? As long as we're on the topic of jetpacks, I would love to know, what was the process like of fine-tuning the jetpacks design? Like, how did you zero in on exactly how much fuel to give the player, how much lift, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it has to be very early in the development that this feature is in and works. Yeah, and in the first year, yeah, we finished the acceleration and the velocity stuff, no, and all the adjustments in the movement of this feature. Yeah, and then in the second phase we build the world, yeah, and all the level designers have to have this feature finished, almost finished, yeah, because then you can test all these things and make some level design there.
Nice.
That was very, very important.
Alex, you're running into the camp of people who want to kill you.
It's a bandit camp. I shouldn't be in here. I shouldn't have aggroed them. Now I have to leave. Whoops.
While Alex makes some poor life choices. Bjorn, I have a question in the chat here. It's in German. I'm going to do my best to translate it, but feel free to just look at twitch.tv/Gamasutra if you want to read it for yourself. The Al Hassan unser Berufsleben korrekt? I don't know what that actually means. I just did my best to say it.
That means we all hate our jobs, right?
Sure.
I like that
is the one. Yeah.
Someone is going to come in, ask a question in German, and make me say something horribly offensive. So I'm going to be more careful. For our German viewers, we feel free to, and however much English you know, ask your questions, and we will provide them. Bjorn, you talked before about American fans and American players and making games for Americans. Do your games do well anywhere else in the world? Are there any other countries that you've been surprised enjoy your games?
Yeah, many European countries support and like our games and play it, and it's we are some kind popular in east of Europe, in Poland and in Russia. There we have many fans of our kind of game, and it's not so easy to reach the market in USA, for example, because there are very, very big titles and Bethesda titles and something like that, and we are only small Germans with a little tiny game, and so it's not so easy to show the customers what's about our games. That's the thing, I think.
How do you you've tried though? How have you tried to catch the attentions of Americans, and do you think it's worked?
As I said, we have many sentences to explain what is our philosophy. That we try not to be mainstream. It's not true completely, but we make many things for a comfortable play feeling and something. But I think it's not so comfortable for many players. It's some special thing, and so it's not so easy to explain what is really cool about playing our games and so. And as I said, we have max freedom in the game. You can go everywhere you want. The storyline is non-linear as it can be, and we have multiple endings. We have an end game, and you can reach every corner of the world. Means that the opponents are as hard as it can be, and you have to find your way through this world, and nobody helps you except of them who you meet there and do their missions or not. You can join the faction, you can do not, you can try to make it on your own and stuff like that.
I think Alex is making a lot of new friends here, speaking of that.
I think so.
And what I'm hearing from Bjorn is that Americans like hearing buzzwords. We like being pandered to.
No, I don't think that the difference is so big about your players and our players. It's a kind of culture thing, and maybe what do you play? We play things we know, we can see on we can reach, and I think it's not so easy to show every customer here that's here we are, we have a cool game and something like that. I think it's more that than the culture is not so different. Because we Europeans play the most games we play comes out of America, we love your games, and that's not so big difference.
Forgive me, I will just take any opportunity to make fun of my own people.
Okay.
It comes from my family's culture.
Okay.
There are a lot of questions in the chat about the localization of the game. And I will focus on one aspect of these questions, which is coming from Electrochemie points this out. How come in the localizations there are some translations of dialogue lines which are changing what characters say, the emotional impact of what characters say? For instance, there are some characters who, in the translated version, they say something that sounds selfish, but in the original German, what they're saying does not sound selfish. He's provided a comparison which I cannot read because I don't know what I expected. Some of it's in German, and some of it's in English, and I can't read the German. But I'm curious. How has that localization process been for you then? How and why are some of these lines? Is that just what happens in your localization process?
We are German native speakers, and we make all the dialogues in German, and all the storyline and quests and missions, and all the names of the characters, and the intentions of our complete design document is in German. Mm-hmm. And so for the translation, we were not responsible. We worked together with some translators there, but in the end, many things were translated very different, and we are the wrong persons had to ask about that, why this decisions were made. We don't know.
Is that does Deep did Deep Silver do you have a publisher who handled that? Was that Deep Silver this time?
THQ Nordic.
THQ Nordic handled that.
Yeah.
So we I think Electrochemie, and for everyone else asking in chat, it sounds like THQ Nordic has the answer to your translation questions.
That's correct.
Yeah. My next question, Bjorn. We talk a lot on this show about how making games and selling games changes for developers all over the world. How has life in Germany as a German game developer been? How do you feel? Have things gotten relatively better or worse over the recent years? Has making games? Have your colleagues at other companies been doing well? Do they have worries? It's a broad question, but I'm just sort of curious what life is like for you as a German game maker.
We are more like smaller companies and teams here in Germany. There are bigger ones, of course, but I can only talk for the middle class developers, I think. Yes,
Yeah.
Mid-size. I wanted to say
Mid-size. Yeah.
Mid-size, and so we are about 27 employees here in our company, and that's not so many for a game like this. And we have a developing time of about 3 years or so, and so we have all our attention are upon this title there. We only make one title per session, and so we work very different here at Piranha Bytes than other teams, German teams, and therefore it's very difficult to speak for the others. Yeah? But it's not so easy, because when you make a game, doesn't matter what, there is it seems to be there is always a bigger one, who compares to you, and to your title, and that's not so easy, to make it. Mm-hmm. But it's nevertheless it's cool, to be a developer in Germany and make cool games, because we're still here and we make cool games, and someone in America from some company or stuff like Gamasutra is taking an interview with me and something like that. It feels I'm a little important there. We are not important for anyone in the world, but we are fun to make games, and so we But what's the word? Very difficult. I think we believe in ourselves and want to make games. That's it.
Nice.
Point.
Yeah, that's a very I think that's a good answer. Alex, I've been steamrolling ahead on the question front while you have been steamrolling into death. Do you have any questions based on your experience today with the game? Is there anything worth calling out about your? I have to say, I'm really, I am marveling as I watch you at how the open world works, at how areas, at how around every corner you seem to find some very unique geography that is traversable, or there's an enemy there, or there's a building. I'm really impressed by the density of what you're encountering.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I just don't want to... these guys are definitely going to kill me, right? I mean, these guys definitely are not... Oh, well... Oh, okay, cool. So, I guess something that maybe I didn't hear quite dug into, maybe you touched on it earlier, but I would love to know what it is about these kind of games, these open world sprawling games, that so mesmerizes Piranha Bytes that you keep making them. I mean, you've made so many of these. Why do they appeal to you as creators?
Appeals? It means what? I didn't get the point.
Oh,
sorry.
Why do open world RPG? Why does Piranha Bytes like open world RPGs, and not just making them, but why do you think these are? Why do you think these games are good? I guess is the question.
Yeah, because it's it's the most realistic thing you can make in a game. Yeah, because you start in a world somewhere. Yeah. And you have to face the consequences when you go there, or there, and that's why it is so interesting to make open world games. It's you have freedom to do everything you want. You have some features you can use in many different ways. You can talk to characters. You can help them. You can kill them. You can do everything you want to do in this game, and that's interesting. And we don't like linear things, so we to play, of course, but not to make them. That's much interesting, more interesting for us to make open world games, because to create worlds is the thing to do with
That's a good answer. I think I like how you use realism there. I like how you describe realism, because even though these are fantasy games, the level of of cause and effect that I've seen on display today. The Alex consequences for what Alex has done on every level, even shooting this arrow off into the air. I like how you described that and how that affects your game design. We only have a couple more minutes. Alex and I have to duck off in a bit to go discuss the art and business of making games with other people. Plug. That's called a plug. Bjorn, Azpet would like to know what bug during development. I know you said there aren't any bugs in ship, but when you were making the game, what bug was really funny? What bug made you and the Piranha Bytes team just laugh out loud when you discover it?
Many things will have to do with ragdolls are very funny, because ragdolls, when characters flying into the corner, when you beat them, always are funny, and there are bugs that you have ears. They are more like Yoda style and stuff like that. We have many bugs in there in the past, but the funniest thing is really that some corpse stick into the arm of our character, hero, and you can turn and go right and left, and the ragdoll guy always go with him, and that's very funny clips. And I think when sometimes we will publish all these funny bugs in one clip or something like that. There were very many funny situations there. Yeah.
I'm going to pull two more questions from the chat, and then we probably have to start wrapping it up. Combat Wombat would like to know, Bjorn, what is your favorite faction in the game and why?
There is no favorite faction, because I like them all, but I think the most interesting for us was the clerics, because it's a completely new thing we made, and because they have the sci-fi setting there, and plasma rifles and more like things like laser swords and stuff like that. They have a philosophy. They can read your mind and stuff like that. Have see magic and so, and they have a futuristic town there. Like we always thought about Los Angeles in Blade Runner or something like that, and wanted to make some more like similar thing there, and that was the challenging thing, I think, and I like them. I like the armors of them, and what they believe, and yeah.
And final question from chat: what are there plans for a sequel to Elex? Is it too early to discuss those, or are you thinking about Elex 2, Electric Boogaloo?
Yeah, we think a lot of things, but it's too early to discuss all these things. We will try to carry on doing things like we did, and maybe later I can tell you something about.
Very good. Well, Alex, did I just see you like stand on a bench and then start talking to a person?
Yes.
I'm living another life here. I'm in the fantastical world. Yeah.
He's living his best life. Bjorn, thank you so much for coming on today. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, was it?
Yeah. I will commence the closing ceremonies, if you will. You have been watching the Gamasutra Twitch channel. We thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed asking questions of Bjorn, we invite you to scroll down and click the follow button on our Twitch page. If you do that, and you leave your notifications on, you will get a notification when we go live with other game developers. Here on this channel, we talk to game developers a lot. We sometimes do editorial roundtables where Alex, me, and the rest of the crew we talk about what's up in game news. We sometimes just play games. You know, we like playing games. We like seeing what game developers are doing these days. We like drowning in waterfalls, as Alex is doing right now.
I was just trying to get a good shot. And
he didn't drown.
Well.
He didn't drown. I'm very impressed.
Well.
Also, Alex, I don't know if you said anything there. You may have just suddenly gone quiet. If you follow us, you get more of that. You get great questions with developers. You get us sort of poking and prodding at games and seeing what happens. Sometimes we break games on stream for developers, which is always fun. They love that. They love us watching us find bugs that they've never seen before. We thank you all for watching and have a lovely day. I have been Bryant, and that's Alex. Bjorn, if they have questions for you about making role-playing games, where should they send them?
We have a Facebook page, Piranha Bytes, and Elex, of course. Yeah, that's
cool. Actually, Alex, I don't think you got quiet. I think I just messed up my headphones. Anyway, we will, as Pet mentions, we will. If you missed any part of the stream, we will be putting it on Gamasutra.com later this afternoon as a full video. Thank you so much, and bye.
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 Turn the stream off and not die. Goodbye.
He's gonna die.